Have you heard of the Manasseh Mauler? He was one of the most ruthless champions in boxing history, who fought his way from poverty to superstardom. I'm talking about none other than Jack Dempsey. From a hobo who fought for prize money to heavyweight champion of the world, Dempsey's story is one of determination, grit, and pure entertainment. His aggressive style of fighting revolutionized the sport of boxing and left audiences breathless. In this video, we're going to dive into Dempsey's life, his fights, his impact on boxing, and American culture. Stick around until the end to learn why his legacy lives on and how he paved the way for a new era of boxers. Jack Dempsey was born in 1895 in Manasseh, Colorado, as one of 13 children, and he grew up in poverty. But despite his difficult upbringing, Dempsey was determined to rise above his struggles and make a name for himself. As a teenager, he left home and became a traveling hobo, earning money by fighting men in Western saloons. Dempsey had learned how to box as a child by defending himself against bullies who teased him for his high-pitched voice, so fighting came naturally to him. He traveled the West by clinging to the brake beams underneath freight trains and challenged the biggest men he could to find fight in every mining town he visited. His reputation as a heavy hitter, the rough, tough fighter, was built on his ability to knock out people and survive under the worst possible circumstances. Despite the many times he got knocked down, Dempsey always got back up because he had to collect the $2 prize money, and he was often hungry and hadn't eaten for days. He even had a fight where he was knocked down 11 times, but managed to get back up and win. Dempsey's experience as a fighter made him a tough and determined individual who would not back down from a challenge. At the age of 19, Jack started his climb to become a pro boxer. He fought up to 21 times per year and quickly made his way up the ranks. By the time he was 24, he had an impressive record of 26 first-round knockouts, including 2 against top contenders, earning him a shot at the title. The reigning champion, Jess Willard, was a huge man and heavily favored to win against the challenger. It was a modern-day version of David and Goliath, and the result was the worst beating in boxing history. Described as a panther attacking a huge elephant, Dempsey beat Willard without taking much damage himself. Fans were thrilled with his fighting style and embraced him as a hero. After 3 rounds, Willard had a broken jaw, 2 fractured ribs, and 5 missing teeth. Dempsey became the heavyweight champion of the world, and his reign as boxing's greatest draw had begun. Along with his team, he commercialized the sport and turned his bouts into entertainment extravaganzas, which brought in boxing's first million-dollar gate. Today, Anthony Joshua is the biggest draw in boxing, filling up football stadiums and pulling in crowds of up to 90,000 people. Jack Dempsey's fights were so popular that he would have had massive stadiums built for them, attracting crowds of up to 120,000 people. However, despite his popularity, he faced negative media portrayals similar to Mike Tyson in the 80s. He was criticized for avoiding the First World War and was labeled a draft-dodging slacker. This reputation followed him throughout his career, and stories of his draft dodging resurfaced. Despite this, Dempsey's wild and aggressive approach in the ring captivated the public. Dempsey's influence on boxing was significant as he introduced a new level of aggression and fearlessness to the sport. Prior to him, fighters were cautious and hesitant, seldom throwing punches or combinations. The fans appreciated his aggressive style, which was unlike anything they'd ever seen before. Dempsey's punches were so powerful that they could knock out any opponent, and he was notorious for his savage and intimidating approach in the ring. Jack Dempsey was a thrilling fighter who revolutionized the sport with his unique style. His high-energy approach to boxing left audiences breathless and craving more, as he always put on a show and never played it safe. While many fighters of his time were conservative in their approach, Dempsey was a fan favorite due to his action-packed style. Despite his popularity, Dempsey struggled to defend his championship title, only doing so 6 times over a span of 7 years. During this time, he attempted to become a movie star in an effort to change his public image and fit in with the Hollywood elite. However, his success in the ring began to wane as he focused on making public appearances rather than training. As a result, Gene Tunney, Dempsey's most formidable opponent, was able to gain the upper hand and win the early rounds of their fight. Dempsey's lack of fighting spirit was evident, as he seemed intimidated by Tunney's ferocity and ease of movement. Despite his decline, Dempsey's impact on the sport of boxing and his thrilling style will always be remembered. After the fight, the challenger, Tunney, admitted that he felt like his opponent Dempsey was trying to kill him during the match. However, as the fight progressed, Tunney's conditioning and strategic preparation started to pay off. Tunney's extensive research and hours of watching films of Dempsey's fights allowed him to anticipate and counter every attack. The massive crowd was surprised by Tunney's tactics as he took the fight right to Dempsey and continued to score points. Dempsey's aggressive rushes were thwarted by Tunney's superior boxing skills as he countered Dempsey's wild punches. In the first round, Tunney landed a right punch that shook Dempsey. Being repeatedly beaten to the punch was exhausting, and it appeared that Dempsey was the one in danger of being knocked out, while Tunney boxed brilliantly. Gene Tunney defeated the man known as the Manasseh Mauler and won the heavyweight championship with a unanimous decision. Gene Tunney had successfully defended his title and was now the reigning world heavyweight champion. Jack Dempsey was a defeated and worn-out combatant. He was dejected. Although a lot of people thought that the defeat at the hands of Tully would be the end of his career, Dempsey, who was 31 at the time, did not agree. He desired to have a rematch and earn the championship belt once again. In front of more than 100,000 fans, the second battle gets underway. The vast majority of people were confident that Dempsey would successfully defend his crown. Tunney was in complete control of the competition until the 7th round when things begin to drastically change. As the count begins, the referee, Dave Barry, awards points to whoever wins the Jack, Wolf, or neutral corner only event. Naturally, a dense concentration remains close. Before referee Barry is ready to start the competition, there's been a delay of 5 seconds. Gene would avoid the situation, but here at the official count of 4, where there actually had to be 9 seconds elapsed. He is concentrating on the referee while picking up the numbers on the board. Tully is up on the referee's count of not unashamedly, and he quickly mounts a bicycle in order to escape the oncoming onslaught of Dempsey. Although Tunney was knocked down in the 7th round, many people feel that the round was the only one in which he was defeated. And what nobody remembers is Tunney punching Dempsey in the face, which makes Kaname now that Tunney is in charge. The long count is undoubtedly still recognized as one of the most iconic moments in the history of the sport. When Dempsey was confronted by a competitor who was hungrier and more motivated, his luxurious way of living came back to haunt him. However, despite his loss, Jack finally won a place for himself in the hearts of the people. Dempsey called it quits not long after he came to the conclusion that his greatest year was well in the past. There have been very few boxers who have earned the level of fame that Jack Dempsey did. He is considered the first boxer to ever achieve superstar status. The violent manner in which he treated his adversaries left the country begging for more, and his rugged good looks, combined with his lowly roots, made him a hero to the working class. Jack Dempsey rose above his humble beginnings and established a successful career for himself. As a result, his greatness will live on in perpetuity. Perhaps among the most successful marketing campaigns in the annals of sporting events. They retired at the same time as Dempsey did. That is an indication of how outstanding he was. Dempsey's legacy lives on, as he paved the way for a new era of boxers who were unafraid to take risks and put on a show for their fans. He proved that boxing could be both entertaining and lucrative, and his influence on the sport is still felt today. His aggressive style of fighting has been emulated by many boxers since, and his impact on the sport is immeasurable. In addition to his impact on boxing, Dempsey has also left his mark on American culture. His rise from poverty to superstardom inspired many people across the country, and his story remains an inspiration to this day. He also helped to popularize sports journalism and was a frequent subject of newspapers and magazines during his career. Jack Dempsey may no longer be with us, but his impact on the world of boxing is still felt today. His aggressive style and fearless approach to fighting paved the way for a new era of boxers, and his influence on the sport is immeasurable. Dempsey's story is one of overcoming adversity and achieving greatness through sheer determination and hard work. Thank you for joining us on this journey through some of the most memorable moments of Jack Dempsey's career. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more fascinating insights into the world of sports and beyond.